Okay, guys, let's get started. Today's lesson can be done in any project. I just need to make sure that you have starter content in that project. So any project will do. If you need to add starter content to your existing project, right now go to the Add New button, click Feature or Content Path, Starter Content, and that'll add it in. I have the live stream up so you can see what's on my screen, so go ahead and go up there. And today's lesson is going to be on something called particles. I've never taught particles here at El Dorado, ever. It's brand new, really cool. It's like materials. It's its own independent system for making things look a certain way. They are in literally every game that you've ever played, just about, all right? So you're playing Call of Duty, you shoot a guy, and some blood splatters off of his arm, and you shoot him, right? That's a particle. Okay, you're in Halo, right? You throw a grenade, and you see the explosion effect. That's a particle. You have a campfire sort of thing, you know, you're in Skyrim, the fire is there, it's raging and roaring, whatever. That is a particle. So particles are special effects. What we're going to do today is I'm going to show you how to take these special effects in Unreal, modify them, edit them, and create your own. Okay. We should all be in our projects by now, so plenty of time. So in the front of Unreal, I would like you to go to Starter Content. Go to the Starter Content folder. Within Starter Content, go to the folder called Particles. Go to Particles folder. Okay, within particles, you'll see these different particle systems, also called emitters. So if you see the term emitter in Unreal, that means particle. Okay? For example, when you want to spawn a particle, the blueprint node is called spawn emitter. Same thing, particle emitter, same exact thing. Actually, we're doing that on some people's projects because they've got like Star Wars ships and they shoot at a ship. We want a big explosion effect to happen right there. We do spawn emitter. And plug in a location, take an enemy ship or whatever, plug the location in, and we choose, okay, what particle are we spawning? All right, so I want you to drag out the particle called sparks into your world. Check it out. So drag out sparks into your world and move it around. What you'll see is that the sparks actually react to the world around it. Okay? So the sparks fall and they actually bounce off of the floor. So particles can actually react to the world around them, like this one. All kinds of stuff you can do with this. What's that? Yes, you can do it in there. You put it in there because you can delete it later. I want you to understand how particles work. You probably want to put some kind of particle in the ground today. Cool. That's what you can do. Put it in your game. Thank you. Okay, so looking at this particle, how can we modify this? What are some particles we can make from this thing by modifying it slightly? So, rain, right? You can totally make a rain effect from this. So let's take a look at how to modify these particles. So I want you to modify sparks, but I don't want it to destroy the original and mess it up. So what we were going to do is in the content browser here, right-click on sparks and do duplicate. So that way the original is left untouched. Right-click on sparks, choose duplicate. And then double-click on this new duplicate to open up the Spark editing system called Cascade. Okay. So what you're looking at here, if you double click on this, is the emitter particle editing system called Cascade. It's called Cascade. There are two particle systems in Unreal. The newest one was introduced in the last update, the update you have on here, called Niagara. It's so new that I don't even know how to use it. So we're going to use Cascade. But it's so new that even starter content doesn't use it. But there are two particle editing systems, if you're curious. There's Cascade, which is this one. All the particles out there generally are using this still. And then there's Niagara, which is in Unreal as it is. Now, when you open this up, I'll explain kind of what this editor system is doing. Here in this window, you see what the particle is going to look like, okay? What its final version looks like. In the middle here, you see these columns with different settings in terms of categories that affect what that particle looks like. So if we look, we have three columns. One's called smoke. Okay, that's all the settings referring to the smoke. Middle one's sparks. Last one is spark burst. All right, let's start with sparks. Click, for example, the color over light setting. What do you think that controls? What does color over light control? What does that control? Color. Right? It's the color of the sparks. And over life, by the way, just means over the lifetime of the particle. Particle has a certain duration before it's destroyed, unless, of course, it's set to loop, which this one is. It's always looping. All right, so clicking on color over light, you're now going to go to the details panel on the bottom left. Details panel in the bottom left, I want you to right-click on the color over light setting and choose expand all, because there's a bunch of categories. So you're going to right-click and do expand all. And now it's fairly straightforward. Okay? These colors here, start changing them and watch your emitter change. Now change the color of your sparks. Not this one, it's actually your color right click.
Is this how you make it rain?
Yeah, I will write for the color line to scan all. So color of light sparks is the smoke. Okay, now there's plenty more settings that control things beyond color. In fact, every single part of this particle is fully editable in here. This is how you make it rain.
Can make it rain color.
Yes. I did that. Okay, so for example, I want you to go to size by life. Size by life on Sparks. Okay, this is how big it is, the size over the course of its life. And increase one of these numbers. You see it's X, Y, Z and stuff. and watch as the particle changes.
It looks like God.
And it's beautiful. Oh, I didn't teach you that one? See, benefit of being in multiple classes, I guess. If only, man. Okay. Now, if your sparks are kind of normal still, I want you to look at constant acceleration. Look at the constant acceleration category. Click on that. It's very simple. In the details panel, you have X, Y, and Z. X, Y, and Z. Somebody tell me what X is at for constant acceleration. Yeah, what is X currently at? What's the value of X right now?
0.
0, right? Okay, what's the value of Y for constant acceleration? What's the value of Z?
100.
No, what is the value of Z? Look at it.
Negative 300.
Only answer if you know. Yeah? Negative 2,000. Okay. Think about it. Z is up and down, right? X and Y are side to side. Okay. If something is Z positive, it's going up. If it's Z negative, it's going down. The reason your sparks fall and look like they have gravity is because of that setting. Change the Z to positive 2,000 or positive 1,000, and you'll watch the sparks will now shoot up. Change X or Y to some number, they'll shoot in a different direction. This is how you would modify a particle effect like this to create, for example, a spell-casting particle, where a particle that shoots from a particular direction of a character.
Do the sphere thing or whatever and make it to 0 or 0.1.
Okay, let me do this just so the live stream has it real quick. See, I do 2,000, now I have sparks raining up. Do 2,000 on the Y, and I have something else. Josh, is this what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, Twizzler. Try messing with at least 2 other categories on here. Take the next like 2-3 minutes to mess around with 2 other categories on your sparks. See if you can make something different. After 2 minutes, we're going to go to the fire particle effect and start modifying that. Guys are doing great. That looks really cool. It's like light speed or something. Yeah, it's like Shadow 4. Feel bad with it. He almost murdered me. That's the problem. It's like a year. This is like. All right, let's jump over to the front of Unreal, everybody. And let's take a look at a different type of particle that does different things. I want you to go to the front of Unreal, and I want you to right-click and duplicate your fire particle. And open up the new duplicate of the fire particle. So fire particle has many more particle systems within it. You can see it has 6. Flame, smoke, embers, sparks, distortion. That last one, distortion, is where if you have a fire particle in the world, and you know how like above really, really hot things on a hot day or above fire, everything looks distorted, the light gets refracted. So it actually recreates that effect in Unreal. That's what distortion settings are doing. You can, by the way, and you should do this with all your particles, as you're editing them, make sure you have them in your world somewhere, dragged out, so that you can see, okay, what does this particle look like actually in a scene, instead of it just in Cascade. So that's what that distortion does. But what I want you to do is click on one of the flame systems. There's 2 flame systems. And start changing some of the settings. I'd like you to change the color of the flames. I'd like you to change the size of the flames. And can you make the flames rotate like a fire tornado? See if you can do that. Can I just?
Yes, you can. I believe in
Okay, so you probably figured out how to change the color by now. Hopefully the size. How you would make something rotate and spin, you could do it with this setting called initial rotation. and setting one of those X, Y's, or Z's, to a really high number. But what I want you to learn how to do is hover your mouse over an empty area of these columns and right-click. When you do that, you get all of these additional categories that you can add to the particle. Things like acceleration, attraction, to be attracted to a certain point, camera settings, collision, light, location, orbit, size, spawn, and velocity, and a million other things. So this is something that you can do. I want you to mess around with that. That's how new particles are made, by the way, too. They're made like that. And you can make a new particle on your own by going to add a new particle system, and then, of course, right-clicking and adding more categories for that certain particle system. Just like that.
I don't think they need my help anymore.